is there a difference? Can we be confident that when we look at a sample, two samples that appear to be different, there is a difference? At what point is there a difference? At what point could we be confident if the samples are different? So let's have a look at these two samples, populations, like the previous one. This is family sizes, and we have in both populations identical lower quartiles, medians and upper quartiles, but perhaps sample of population 2 looks a little bit different, and here I'm shifting it across. There comes a point when actually we can be confident that the actual population is different, and that is at this point here. And the reason is that 75% of the families in sample 2 are larger than the smallest 50% of families in sample 1, and that's shown by looking at the upper quartile, lower quartile on sample 2, and that's higher than the median, or equivalent to the median, in sample 1. Also, 50% of samples in 50% of families in sample 2, which is shown by the red line, are larger than the smallest 75% of families in sample 1. When we look at this one here, third reason, 25% of all families in sample 2 are larger than any families in sample 1. That means if you're in sample 1, you'll find no families of 5 or 6. So these are comparative statements. Now, confidence is not certainty, it is being reasonably sure. So we could be reasonably sure that the second sample reflects larger family sizes in the population. Now let's have a look at a couple of examples. So this is from a census at schools, and this is arm span by gender. A question that we could ask is, do males tend to have longer arm spans than females? Yes or no? Or can't we tell? When you have a look here, you'll see that it would appear that males have longer arm spans, but can we extrapolate that to the entire population? Well, if we run by this method, we can't. Here you'll find that the upper quartile of the male population is higher than the upper quartile of the female, but it's not really sufficiently higher to be confident that this extends to the population. When we look at the median, we'll find that the median is higher than the median, but we can't be confident that would extend to the population because it's not really a big enough gap. It's not a 25% gap. And here, when we look at the lower quartiles, we find there's virtually no difference at all, that they're about the same place. So we cannot be confident that males tend to have longer arm spans than females, and this is because at no point are all the males in any quartile all taller than the females in the equivalent quartile. Whereas in the previous examples, everybody in the quartile was taller or larger than everyone in the equivalent quartile. Here's another example. Look at this. This is birth weight of children at birth and whether they survived or died. And do children who die at birth at birth tend to have lower birth weights? It should really say than those that survived. So let's check. When you look here, 25% of those that survived were heavier than any of the children that died. So just from that, we can be confident that the children who died at birth tended to have lower birth weights than children who survived, and this is because 75% of children who die at birth weigh less than the heaviest 50% of survivors. And sorry, that's from that one there. Okay. And when we look at the next one, we can see that 50% of children who die at birth weigh less than the heaviest 75% of survivors. So these are the kinds of sort of comparative statements you need to be making, and you need to run a little ruler down the page to make sense of it. One final example, have a look at this. These are average daily temperatures for a month, which is a sample of overall temperatures, and you have a look here, two cities, Tucson and Boston in the United States. Does Tucson tend to have higher temperatures than Boston? Let's have a look. Well, when we look at the upper quartile of Tucson, we see that it is higher than any temperature in Boston. So if you lived in Tucson, you can have a temperature higher than 83 degrees. They'll never get there in Boston. So the comparative statement is this: we can be confident that Tucson tends to be warmer than Boston because the highest 25% of temperatures in Tucson are hotter than 100% of temperatures in Boston. Let's have a look at the median, and you can see here the median is quite suggestive as well. It looks as if almost 100% of temperatures are lower than the median in Tucson, but not quite. So what we can say here is that 75% of temperatures in Boston are lower than 50% of the temperatures in Tucson. Okay, so we've got to get used to that kind of statement. And the last one, and we'll finish off here. When we go through the lower quartile, we can find that 75% of temperatures in Tucson are higher than 50% of Boston's temperatures. So we will finish there.